Thanks for joining us. We are live at 5 today. It is Wednesday, September 11th, 2019, which means it has been 18 years since the deadly terror attacks on New York City and the Pentagon. And so the version of the show that we want to do today is really commemorating that day and what it means for so many people still 18 years later. You see people post never forget, but for some people forgetting is impossible, and they say, how could you ever? And a lot of people think of where they were when that moment happened, and a lot of us, we were just talking about it before. So where were you? Like, what do you think about when you get to this day every year?
Well, I remember I was in class in school, and we turned the television on, and this is what was playing. And I think it took a moment for people to kind of realize the magnitude of what they were seeing on TV. And I think it was just a moment that most people never ever will forget, this happening to our nation.
And you were in the area at that time, and you had a very good point about people sharing the particular photos of the actual moment and what that means for the families on a day like today. I think that's a really good point for us to think about with sensitivity.
Yeah, this is such a hard discussion. It's hard to talk about without even crying. I'm from upstate New York. I know a lot of people who were impacted, a lot of families who lost loved ones that day. And every year when this comes up, everyone wants to share their memory and their experience. But some of my friends who had family members who were killed are so hurt every year when they see the images of the plane going into the Twin Towers, because for them that's the moment their family member was murdered. And to see that every year is so hard. And then the people who post those images say it's so important that we do look at this because it's important that we remember that we were attacked as a nation. So I think everyone remembers where they were, and even 18 years later, those images are still so difficult for families to look at.
And the feelings come back automatic. Like, you know, you can probably remember what you were wearing in school that day, or the teacher whose class you were in, you know, just the moment comes back automatically. Let's take you to a moment from one of our chief investigators here at 11 Alive, Brendan Keefe. This is a photo or video of he and his wife flying into New York City. They were one of the first flights that was able to come into New York on September 11th. You still see the smoke off in the distance. Welcome to New York, with the infamous heart where everyone talks about loving New York. And Brendan and his wife were just landing in the city at that time, where Brendan was getting ready to start employment, which meant that these would be the stories that he would go on to tell. So a very jarring and emotional moment there for him to remember that.
And I know he did a lot of reporting on how much the city came together in the wake of the attacks, and he was really front and center and able to spotlight some of the incredible acts of courage and of bravery and of love that came out of that. And I know he also led a lot of the reporting from people who died many years after the attacks, because it wasn't just the attacks that killed people, it was the sickness, the illness, the cancer in the years after the attacks that killed people.
And something we're still looking at right now.
Right. Exactly.
And that's sort of the angle that I took when I posted this on my Facebook page about, you know, what are the effects that people are still having today, 18 years later. Let's get one of the comments that came in to us on our Facebook talking about how this is still impacting so many people. So Jane says, God bless those who lost their lives. God bless those who are dying because they sacrifice their safety to save their brothers and sisters, talking about those illnesses. God bless the families who lost loved ones and the ones that are now caring for their suffering heroes. God, please deal with the creators of this evil and serve justice.
Right, and I think that we've seen so much testimony on Capitol Hill from, I mean, the 9/11 fund, it wasn't even sure whether or not that was going to go through.
Yeah.
And so just a few months ago, we were seeing that really jarring testimony of the first responders who have been suffering for 18 years. Thankfully, that bill was passed and they're now going to get that funding. But to me, the craziest part was that a terrorist attack on our nation became political. That was really difficult for me to see.
I think it was, for a lot of people, it's very frustrating. You know, we even saw the comedian, Jon Stewart, tearing up because of it. And he's usually someone that's just known for being jovial and making jokes, but this is very serious, and it's very serious for so many families as well.
It is. Great stories coming out too. You had a really good one that you found that I absolutely loved about the first responders.
This one made my day when I saw this post. It's actually from the New York Post. This is where the story came from, and they found family members of first responders who were killed who are now joining the New York City Fire Department. So they call it the Legacy Class. There have been some members who have joined before, but this is the largest class that they've had. There are 16 people whose parents were killed either in the attacks, responding to the attacks, or in the years since the attacks. And what an incredible honor to the memory of their fallen loved ones to join the department.
I literally have chills looking at those
it's amazing
pictures.
to see those side-by-side images.
Yes, looking just like their fathers. Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Isn't it incredible? And so the actual recruits are barred from talking to the media until they graduate from the academy on September 24th, so it's soon. But their family members all talked, just saying they were so proud of their loved ones for taking up the mantle here and really honoring the memory of their loved ones. So I know this is an emotional day for a lot of people. We want to know what you think. Where were you? What are your memories of the day? What do you want to remember? Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post every day of the week, and we want to hear your comments on this issue and everything that we post about. Please follow us on social media to get your comments on the show. And thank you for tuning in today.